Greetings. Today I decided to play Criticality by Scotty. It's currently in beta. He released it on September the 1st, but it's in pretty good shape so far. There's only one major issue I've noticed with it. It's a boom-compatible map, uses the OTEX texture set. It's very large like Miasma, in that you've got a couple of diverging paths which then eventually go to the same place. It's got kind of an adventure feel to it. And the interesting thing about it is that it's explicitly designed for software rendering. So it uses some cool software lighting tricks, and there's a warning not to play it in a sort of OpenGL port. It's a pretty interesting map. Not too difficult, not quite as hard as Miasma, but some pretty tricky stuff in there, especially given the length. Let's get into it. Right, so here we go. First thing I do is I find a little secret here. You can see it's a very interesting map with the lighting here. All of the greens have full bright, so they glow in the darkness, and everything else is very gloomy and rusty. It looks very nice, I must say. So this encounter here, this is the little secret to get the backpack right at the start. Took me a while to figure this one out, but it's just a nice constrained fight above an instant kill abyss, as it always is. There's two diverging paths you can take at the start of the map. One for the red key, one for the yellow key. Both go to the same place. I like to take this path first, purely because. Starting off with a terrible little mistake there, which I seem to have made every single time. This little fight at the beginning gave me the most trouble out of pretty much anything in the map, and I don't know why. It's very bizarre behaviour from me, but what can you do? Anyway, moving on here. When they wake up in the cages, they teleport onto that ledge there. So there's a Pain Elemental Archvile. Always try and get the Pain Elemental first. Taking advantage of the fact there's a teleporter trigger in that little monster closet for the next bit of the fight coming up here. But for the time being, I'm just getting rid of this Archvile who's a pain in the ass. I've got to say the lighting in this is so striking and so interesting. I very rarely play with a non-OpenGL port, and I'm just impressed at how good it looks. Right, so behind there, some chain gunners spawn on pillars. You can either hang at the back there with the chain gunners, or you can come up here. If you come up here, they walk into the little teleporter, and they tend to end up behind you in quite large numbers, as you can see. So you kind of the attention's sort of divided. But to the same token, I found that if you kill all the guys on the pillars and hang out at the back, you tend to get more from both sides. At least when they're in the back there on that little ledge, they can't really do much to you, as long as you're aware of the projectiles. There's not that many rockets as well, so it's not just like you can go completely nuts spamming rockets at them. But this is fine. It's particularly straightforward as that fight can go. A good strategy is to sort of kill them by these pillars, and to lure all the revenants down, then to run over to where that the switch is that I'm going to go press in that box where the Pain Elemental Archvile were, and then you can spam some rockets in, but I got mobbed a few times and just thought it's not worth it, really. So, it's our first switch, which reveals the switch to one of the major paths. A couple of nasty Archviles here, just going to keep them around this side, away from all the corpses of things. It's nice when you get them trapped in little boxes like that, and then immediately let them out, but it's nice nonetheless. There's a something on a switch I couldn't touch there. I'll explain in a moment. This fight's nice here, it's a nice little pincer. You've just got Pain Elemental in the back, you've got your Revenants. You have an Archvile who's watching sort of one half, so you can't stray too far into the other side for too long because the fire will come. The chain gunner there is just basically just upset you. But it's very easy to defuse, really, if you know what you're doing. Just don't panic. That's what a lot of these fights are. Don't panic. I mean, the Lost Souls might get a bit out of hand, but it's fine. I did this at the very start of the map again because, like, I've fucked this up a couple of times and thought, it's best just to get it out of the way. So, I'm now trying to figure out how to open the next area of the map. Yeah, that requires a single key, that Soul Sphere. There's a fight here, where you've got a Spider Mastermind, you've got some Pain Elementals, you've got some Hell Knights. I've always found it's easier just to leave. You can stay in there and try and get them all to infight and sort of work around the edges, try and take out the pain elementals one at a time, but I just thought it's too much work. I also could conceivably just spam rockets down here and kill them all immediately, but I don't know the map well enough to know if that's sort of appropriate in terms of ammo. One of the things here is I'm playing very casually is I'm always trying to make sure I have as much ammo as possible for these later fights. So I'd rather do things slowly and methodically than just, you know, go hell for leather, because I haven't calculated what's required for what section. Everything down there is currently behind like invisible walls that can't be broken up, so there's no real threat of that. It just gives you a lay of the land before the fight begins. This Spider Mastermind very rarely wanted to infight for me, ever. It was just a pain, really. Thankfully, you don't have to waste ammo killing him. You can telefrag him later on, which is very good news, I've got to say. So, lay of the land for this fight here. There's a whole bunch of chain gunners. There's some pillars. If you press the switch, you couldn't see them. I opened the closet and let me see everything. It had their back to me, so I had a vague idea of what's in there. But there's a couple of archviles mixed in there. If you kill that Revenant who I killed on the pillar quickly, sometimes the archvile spawns up there, but sometimes he doesn't. So, you know, it's fine. And chain gunners at this point start filtering down from that ledge. They walk down the stairs. So you've got to be cognizant of that. It's best to stay on this side. Just spam them down, really. Those windows look incredibly good, by the way, I've got to say. There's so many details on this map. I just think it's really pretty. It's surprisingly pretty. Otex is so versatile. It's a real masterpiece. And Scotty's put them to a really good use, I've got to say. He's, or they, sorry, it could be, I don't know if it's he. I shouldn't assume, my apologies. But they put it to really good use. But it really does remind me of Miasma, most of this, like, a lot. I don't know why it does, but I think it's because it's got the nukage and the greens and the lavas. But it's a lot grungier here, more sort of natural palette. Which just makes the neons really pop. Anyway, defusing this situation here, relatively straightforward. You can see other... oh, that was a mistake. Usually I run right in and block him in so he can't resurrect, but I forgot there. But you can see other arenas as you walk around, which is kind of nice, so you can get information about what else is waiting for you in the map. I always enjoy that. Saturnine Chapel did that as well to really good effect. Just being able to see, ooh, wonder what's going to go on over there. Well, I'm going to be dealing with some sort of horrible mounted cyber demon at some point. So, here's a nice little fight. This is why I wanted to save rockets for this situation. It can get quite out of hand. But relatively straightforward. Just pain elementals, revenants. Most of the time I didn't have this issue. I would just dodge toward the wall and I would just be able to indefinitely spam them down before they could spawn. But here things got a little out of hand. So just taking it safe, really. Backing off. You'll notice a lot in this map, there's always a pain elemental in a fight who will just spawn huge amounts of skulls and be a massive pain. They're used to incredibly good effect, actually. But in that situation, you just gotta chill out. No stress at all. And I always take out these pain elementals, purely, lost souls, purely because I never feel safe around them. I don't know why. So, notice there's two switches here. This is a place you come back to twice. Obviously it opens up a half each time. This key half gives you this horrible little pin where you've got some revenants on staircases, you've got some pain elementals and you've got some arachnotrons, who as you can see are incredibly dangerous. The pain elementals, there's three of them. Sometimes you can just spam rockets at them really easily and get rid of them because they get distracted, but sometimes they do this and they just fill the room. And there's one there who I just can't touch. Another thing I'm doing here is, for the second part of this fight, there's a bit where a archvile spawns, and I just think, I don't want those, and they spawns up on that staircase where the revenants currently are, so I'm just trying to lure them down, and I'm just ignoring them for the most part. So the game plan here is just to kill everything on the floor, get rid of all of the arachnotrons, get rid of the pain elementals, find a nice corner somewhere, and just get rid of the skulls. The map gives you a lot of bullets for chain gunning, which is nice. There's some, I think there's a stack early on which is just like 300 right there. Because otherwise cleanup would become quite a fraught procedure. I mean, because again, it's one of those maps where you don't really know just how out of hand it's going to get with pain elementals. So, that's this area cleared out here. And it leads you into this courtyard. An obvious trap here. You're going to get a little pincer going. It's not too rough. Big horde of enemies and the mancubus on each side. For the most part, they try to stay in one lane. Some will always go on the side. It's very easy to take a couple of hits here from above, or that mancubus can sometimes just clip you like he did to me there, which is, yeah, a little painful. But it's fine. I love how the full bright on the green means our eyes glow. It's a very cool effect. And you'll notice that pickups as well, a lot of them have the same glowing on them to help you see them in the gloom. I don't know, it's the lighting tricks you can pull off with this engine. Beautiful, really. So, one path gives you the other gun. So I could have taken the other route first, would be a plasma rifle, obviously, and then you would get the rocket launcher afterwards. But I thought this is the best way of doing it. And that's one wing complete. Moving on to the next one now. Well, not quite. I'm going to go get that soul sphere. It's a nasty trap, that, because it spawns a extremely large number of chain gunners around you. And I remember the first time I was doing a little FDA for this, I played it, I opened that, and I think it took off like 150 of my health instantly. It's a really cruel trap. I ran off and I got down here, which is like the nicest little bolt hole possible, but it made me a little wary. There's quite a few traps in this map that will just, on instant warp-ins, that will just absolutely murder you. Some of them are a bit more questionable than others, we'll talk about those, but that one's okay, I suppose. You see, I've got the Berserk pack there as well, just a safety margin for health, but I've come out of this quite nicely. Take the supercharge. Now moving on to the plasma rifle Red Wing. Well, hopefully. I'm not really sure why I move this way sometimes. This sort of weird... I don't know what I'm doing here, to be honest with you. I can't remember why I started playing strange and passively. I think it's because I was thinking about what I was doing next, because I haven't memorised all of the map yet, so I would take time just to... Like, what am I doing? I would take time just to look around, have a think. So, speaking of arenas that can get out of hand very quickly, this is why I wanted the rocket launcher for this one. Yeah. Lost souls from Pain Elementals. 3 archviles. And some mancubus just to really throw things in the works. And a constant trickle of chain gunners from the other room. But play safe here, the best thing to do. As long as you avoid the wall with the... There's a wall which traps, you're fine. If you don't, things get out of hand very quickly. So I just hung around these pillars, and it's my natural reaction anyway in a map like this. Running towards is not necessary here, really. But, you know, this can use quite a lot of cells. And I'm just cleaning up, really. Again, I'm conserving cells here, and do I really have to? Probably not. The good news is with Lost Souls, and the thing that makes them tolerable, is that when you circle around and you get them in a tight little ball, they tend to take themselves out quite nicely. They're very dumb. They're like dogs, they just fight amongst themselves. Yeah, you see that little trigger there? I didn't mean to trigger that. I was going to prepare with the rockets, but the line that spawns them was obviously a bit further from the wall than I thought. Very cool that when you've got archviles on you, I've got to say. Very cool indeed. But, you know, you got to take these things as they come. And don't ever try and escape an arena like this as well. Maybe the instinct is just to leave. Leaving in this one, as you can see, when I go around this corner, it's not a good idea. This is the one of the rooms that I was fighting in before. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the one with the... Maybe it's the one with the mounted archvile? But, as you can see, all the enemies that I killed are there. They can sometimes be a pain. They can just wake up huge amounts of revenants and wall themselves in. But it's fine. Another secret there. The secrets for this map I found relatively straightforward, actually. I didn't need to open Doom Builder to find any of them, which impressed me. I just sat there and humped walls. Because usually it's not good for me secrets. I'm very silly. So, this is another interesting fight coming up that's actually quite a straightforward one again. I'm not taking that supercharge, I don't need it. So, when you come down, you've woken everything up. Once again, you've got lots of nasty monsters there. You've got Cyber Demon sitting in the back corner. You've got those Arachnotrons as well. If you run back down to the lifts, if you stand up against the left-hand side, nothing can track at you, but if you move a bit to the right, the Arachnotrons can start aiming at you. The issue with this fight is you've got to deal with the Pale Elementals who, you know, your natural inclination is to come into this place with the switch and to start spamming rockets, and they'll just pincer you from the sides. Because obviously you're constrained, you can't go one way because of the Cyber Demon, you can't go the other way because of the terrible Archviles. Not terrible, the very mean Archviles. But you get the red key here. I'm peeking out here in the vain hopes the Cyber Demon will be nice and actually try and hit me and kill his friends. He doesn't. He doesn't. But, I just love how gloomy these maps are. They're gloomy, yet I never feel I can't see anything because of the way the greens work. So, I'm going to now open this box. There's no point in killing those Archviles, I learned, because there's a crusher which kills them if you leave the area. So, let them leave the area. He's currently trapped on his teleporter there, so that's fine. Cyber Demon as well is like that spider mastermind. You can just leave him, he'll die. He's a turret monster. It's kind of... I don't know, there's something about maps like this, they just communicate quite nicely. You just think, yeah, he's not going to come back. And then we're back in this room. And this half is a little bit more tricky, to say the least, but it's actually not too bad at all. What I'm doing here, you can see there's Archviles in the behind the Baron here, but getting that guy out of the way, and I'm just going to wake everything up. Getting into position, find a nice place to kill that Archvile on that top ledge before he can cause any issues for me. That's why I moved all those revenants downstairs out of the way. Once you do that, it's just a matter of being careful, because, again, that little cubby hole with the switch, there's still an Archvile in there, he's blocked in, so he has a field of vision that cuts across this map, and you basically, you can just dodge into him, basically, and you don't want to do that. But, you know, there's no real stress here. Once you've killed that Archvile, if you do it efficiently, it's just a matter of dodging a Cyber Demon in an arena where there's a bit of height variation with steps, so you just want to watch what you're doing. Very easy though. Yeah, my go-to comparison is Miasma by Tourniquet, because he has lots of optional little fights and encounters which are enclosed like this in a few ways, but they're much less aggressive, I feel. Those really tend towards some very tight sort of slaughter situations where you're pinned into a corner like that. There's one with a Spider Mastermind and some, I think it's Barons and Revenants on either side, and you've got to sort of cut a path through them because they fill the entire space in a really efficient way. But this doesn't have anything quite so horrendous. But not everything needs to be extremely hard. I actually appreciate it. I'm actually glad because when maps are extremely long, when they're just brutally hard the entire way through, they're exhausting. The sense of dynamics you get from having encounters that just aren't going up to, you know, the volume knob isn't going up to 10 all the time, it makes a big difference because you need to think about things in the broader context of the map they're in. In a 15-20 minute map, yeah, go nuts, but when you're going a bit longer with the more exploration heavy things like this, it's kind of cruel when it's just that horrendous, desperate struggle all the time. At least I think so anyway, I'm probably in the minority with that one. So there's the Cyber Demon dead there. But now, there's a little optional arena outside. I think it's optional. I'm 90% sure it's optional. I probably should have checked now I mention it. I'm going to look like a complete dickhead. Take that Soul Sphere. Beautiful. And I'll go down to it. So you can see there's armaments everywhere, preparing for Armageddon. But more importantly, this is the part of the map where there is a secret which leads to everyone's favourite friend, the BFG. First time I played this map through to completion, I didn't actually find this BFG. This is one of the secrets I had to find once I'd killed everything else and I was humping walls. Given how you get a normal BFG anyway within a couple of fights, it's not actually that important. And honestly, in this particular encounter, the plasma rifle is perfectly adequate than the rockets. But, you know, why not? It's got some pretty gnarly sprite replacements as well. I don't know where those come from. I've never seen it before. I mean, no, I think I have seen it, I just don't know where. So this is a very simple crescent design here, as you can imagine. It's traditional thing where it's capped at the end by an archvard to stop you from going right down to the end, and there's a Cyber Demon as well who's going to be spamming at you. But it's a traditional U-shaped thing. You just want to be going back and forth. So don't let them bunch up. I've moved too far down one bend there and got punished. The theory was maybe I could run back and get around the corner in time, but no, it didn't work out that way. But the trick here is just go back and forth. If you go back and forth nice and efficiently, it means they'll always tend toward the inside of the track. And if they do that, you're laughing. The thing that's awkward on this map, or the thing that I found very awkward, is when you've got the BFG and you're spamming it, the one enemy you really don't want getting in your way is an Arachnotron, because they have this long animation when they die, and they're really big as well. So they're just a real pain, because you want to get past them, and you spam the BFG at them at point blank, and they just block you in. That bothered me a couple of times. Here it did it a little bit, but there's another fight later on where you get the BFG normally, which really... There's some Arachnotrons there that are devilishly awkward. But as you can see, once you've cut a little path here, just use the BFG to make sure you don't get trapped. Everything gets corralled in the centre, and it's trivial really, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. With the plasma rifle, it's a little bit trickier, but your mileage may vary. Because of the plasma rifle, you can just hold the button down and cut paths to enemies with that thing. So there's some nice cover here, which works wonders for getting rid of those snipers. And here I'm trying to be ammo efficient with cells. Now, what I could do is press the button to lower the Cyber Demon's platform temporarily, and then do a bit of a two-shot tango with the BFG. But I don't trust myself enough on a map of this length not to make a mess of that. That would be the efficient technique, though, 100%. There's also risk of, you going in to press the button and he starts shooting, and then the lift lowers and he immediately jibs you or something like that. There's just too many factors that made me uncomfortable. So I just opted for shooting rockets at them from afar anyway, because rockets are a less vital commodity to me. Now there is a slight bug in the beta of this. This is only a beta, it's the first, there's going to be some changes, obviously, there always is. But there is a slight bug here where there's a Arachnotron that never makes its way down from the teleporting arenas, because there's a little, the slime falls is where things come from, and they progressively flow down from it, which is quite cool. But he's too wide for the initial teleport, so he just gets stuck there, which is a little embarrassing. But it's for him, not for the map, where it's just the fat boy can't move. So I did find a cool way of getting rid of him though, because leave no stone unturned. That's what I'm all about. Taking this slow and steady. Don't really know why. And now leaving. This is optional, so I'm pretty sure, so you just heading back the way I came because I have more on the red path that I've not finished. As you can probably tell, there was a whole wing I hadn't fully fleshed out. That's fine. So we're heading back now with our BFG. Happy as Larry. And I'm going to go to a secret now. Or potentially not. No. Let's get rid of this archfile first. Hit him with 3 rockets. Don't want to waste another rocket, I'll just shoot him with a shotgun. Very resilient to that range when the pellets aren't hitting them. Me trying to figure out where to go. Not really sure. There's a secret here. This is a cool little bridge. Don't fall in, obviously. At one end, you got the archviles, who are quite rude coming down off the BFG. And you got some snipers sitting on the ledges. At the other end here, there's a couple of pain elementals. There's some, what do they call those guys? The cacodemons. And you got some Hell Knights who block you. But that's fine. Oof, horrible pigs here in the movement there, gotta say. Absolute nightmare movement there. Trying to remember to kill all the stragglers because you can't see them in the gloom at all. You really can't see them. Good use of darkness, I suppose. They're very low threat, so I'm not too bothered by it. But fine. This is the secret to give you a soul sphere and also some cells as well. You get more cells than anybody will use. Interestingly, with the BFG, you can, or with any weapon, you can knock the archviles back into that teleporter. And then they'll be waiting for you when you leave, which is not fun. No blocking lines for the monsters there. Not a big deal, just so here's a little fight for you. Nice straightforward one. Revenants on one side, Hell Knights on the other, and just to make things really awkward, there's some pain elementals in the distance, and there's a lot of very awkward Manx on the other side who will just be spamming through the pillars now and then at you. Very easy to get clipped here if you're not paying attention. I've got the BFG, so this isn't a threat. It's a little harder with the plasma rifle. This is a fight that I'd say that having the BFG is a big improvement. Otherwise you're just spamming rockets at this corner here for the initial wave of revenants instead of just instantly deleting them, which is fine. But there you go, it's diffused for the most part now. I'm hiding in this corner just so I can try and get rid of the lost souls. I am trying to conserve some rockets here, so you can see there the Mancubus projectile slamming into the walls. But I've got enough health not to be too concerned by that. It's a little more frightening when you're down to 50 health. Just a little. That's fine. I don't know what this switch does. I will admit it, I actually don't know what that switch does. Maybe it releases the teleporter here. Maybe. I don't know. But you go through the teleporter, you're up here. Best use the BFG to clear one side. It's intimidating when you get out the BFG. You've got to kind of spam the plasma rifle and run to one side, or lay man go back to the teleporter again. There is a secret up here, one of the more tricky ones to find. There is also the continuation of the path, which is that teleporter there. The pit around that teleporter is bottomless, as I think most of the pits are on this map. Don't fall in, just be careful. But I'm going to go to the... I think my logic at this point is... The pit, the main pit isn't though. I think the pit's like... The smaller pits are, but the main one there's a teleporter out, there's all the islands. Manicured Park. So, secret switch I've just pressed there, and I've gone the wrong way. And this is where I realise I've gone the wrong way, because that lowers the slime waterfall at the back where the Mancubi were. But instead I'm back here. With a particularly rude set of archviles. A particularly poor bit of BFG work. But the Cacodemon came out for me in good force there. Pretty thankful for him. And there we go. That's both wings now. That's how you would complete both of them. And once you've done this, you can go through to the next phase of the map. But that's that Arachnotron I talked about being stuck. He's stuck up in there, and I found that if you stand in a pretty specific place, which is here, and you move the mouse just a little bit, thankfully there's just enough granularity with the mouse aim in the normal demo format, you can just hit him. And I was looking at the map there, which has the kill counter in, and I saw the kill counter increase by 1. I thought, fucking brilliant. So now to go try and find that secret again. Or, well, not quite, because you can see the door's opened here. And this is the door that leads out of the area, so this is like the end of the wing here. But if you don't know about this, you've got to be careful, because you don't want to wake those guys up when they're not in there, because again, they make a bloody mess. First time I played this, they made this huge mess, because I wasn't paying attention, and I thought, oh, some more pain elementals everywhere. So I pressed that secret switch. It's above the lift, but I'm not waiting for the lift to go up. That's a 20 damage hurt floor. The dark slime it's not fun, basically. Avoid it. And you end up in the little control room that you could see from the room with the red key. Relatively straightforward trap here. I mean, they're not all. They could all be Barons, those guys. That'd be kind of threatening, but they're not. It's one Baron and 2 Hell Knights. It gives you the cell to deal with it as well. And then it's just move on to the next part, really. Not much else to it. I'm running out of things to talk about here. Well, that's fine, I mean, no one wants to be blathering all day. It's just so good looking. I love all the glowing panels and stuff. That's the core there. It's like a core, basically, like a power core. I like it. We go in there later, it's extremely cool. It's probably the most striking thing in this entire set level, and it looks bloody fantastic. Blue key there, door you can see. I thought that was optional, or my logic was maybe that's optional, but no, that's the progression at some point. And you've got a little armory here, which isn't really necessary. You can see some fights to come, the shape of fights to come there. And then there's these 2 little caches here, locked by different keys, which are nice. They're nice. I didn't really find them necessary, but you know, I'm going to take them. But now there's a once you have the 2 keys, there's a dual key switch, and then there's a little fight, which usually gives you the BFG. And this is quite a nasty little fight. This is probably maybe I'd say the second nastiest fight in the level. So as you can see here, it's very dark. You've got a lot of spectres, just to be incredibly awkward. If you don't take those out immediately, they tend to wall you in, and you get splattered by the cyber demons. Once you kill them, you've got the freedom to move. There's 2 little cubby holes here on either end, and unfortunately things keep spawning in here, and the things that keep spawning in here are Arachnotrons. So if you're pushing these cubbies too early, you're just going to get Arachnotrons spawning on top of you over and over again. But once you've cut a bit of space for yourself, if you're patient, they are nice little bolt holes. You can hang around here, hug the wall, and it's going to take a while for the cyber demons to get to you. And they're going to be infighting, they're going to be busy. And that's what I want, really. I'm trying to play it cool here. This has gone particularly well, but this can go horribly wrong, this fight. The Spectres, I think, are the main issue. They are quite evil. Because there's always... It looks like you're opening the gate and there's just a few of them, but I think more teleport in to come with it, so it's unpleasant. But there's very little in the way of safety, which isn't these little side holes here. You've just got to be a man, really, and just... or be a lady, and just deal with it, you know? Be strong. That's about what I'm saying. Be strong and just power through. On this side, you do have some Revenants causing you grief, which is... makes it a little bit more dangerous. That's why I tended to favour the other side for hanging around. And I'm going back that way now. There's pretty tight ammo balance here. You can't just spam wildly. You've got to think a little bit about how you want to use your BFG, especially if you want ammo for later on. Same with health as well. it's a relatively... It's not the worst fight in the world when it comes to space management and stuff, and threats, but these fights are all relatively constrained in terms of ammo and health, so it's not just a free-for-all. That said, I'm going to take the ammo and health that I didn't pick up earlier, because I'm so powerful and strong. Get rid of these bastards on the pillars, eh? Look at that. No worries, all dead. I was worried that maybe they could fall off the pillars and go behind. That was one of my like big neurotic moments, but it didn't actually happen to me. And this is the way out. Jealously guarded, as you can see. But it's fine, they can't actually leave. Now, if they could leave the lift, that would be a really nasty and cool little bit of spice for the encounter. But, no. Maybe that would be a bit too cruel, I don't know. One of the last secrets here. It's a time switch, this one. There's 2 switches to make this lift rise, I'm not really sure why. It's kind of cool though. You get a sphere, which triggers a trap, but I don't want to pick the sphere up yet in case I mess this up, so it's not too bad. It's delayed there, so the door opens and these Baron and his knight buddy come in. But the nobles aren't a threat here, they're just kind of annoying. And you get paid. I think I make a strategic decision here to leave that sphere in case I make a mistake in the next fights coming up, but I didn't. That just raises the lift. And now we're going into the core, and this part of the map is really, really cool, because this really takes advantage of the software lighting. Look at that, it's pitch black, but look at all those full bright bits with the greens. Look at all of those barons, look at all of those Cacodemons. Fucking sick. Instant kill pits, don't fall in. On the walkways there, basically. There's 2 switches, I'm just trying to cut myself a path toward them. You don't want to linger here, because you will just get sniped by a lot of different things. But pressing those 2 switches there is what you need to do, and then that lowers the rest and lets you clean up. And look at the gradient there with the lighting. It looks absolutely stunning. It looks so cool for the 2 modular. I can't get over how cool this looks, this area. Not too bad though, it's not too bad, this place. If you play it smart, you don't panic, you'll be absolutely fine. You just got to remember where those invisible, what's floor and what isn't, basically, you need to remember. Because I did actually once, I left and then I fell into the pit. Because I walked straight off the staircase into the abyss. I think these are barons up here, Pap? No, they're there ones. So maybe these demons were powering the map, maybe this is the demonic core which powers this facility, something cool like that. Maybe there's some sort of environmental storytelling, I don't know, I'm not very smart. I just like to shoot things. But doing that gives you the key, the blue key, so we get to continue on. I do make a choice here though, I think I'm 192 health. Maybe that extra 8 will keep me alive in this next fight, which is the one that actually stresses me out the most, despite the fact that it's only killed me once. But it stressed me out a lot, so I thought I'll go in there with everything. Go in there with everything, why not? Throw yourselves in there. But there's one more secret, if you go out the window. Which this is a really cool area for something that most people will never go into, just as background stuff. It looks really gnarly. Get a nice armour. 200, 200. And some ammo, the important thing. Some nice ammo. So, this next fight is cool, and it's quite tricky. It will instant kill you if you don't know about it. So, Archviles, obviously. You can see all the different places where monsters could be. Press the switch, windows open. The thing that will instantly kill you is a cyber demon spawns directly behind you, so the urge might be, I'm going to spam the Archviles with BFG immediately, you'll instantly die. There's a window that's open with, I think it's 6 chain gunners and 2 Archviles. They can also instantly blast you when you're running away. Kind of dangerous. But what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to get the Cyber Demon in fighting with something else, and this feels good enough to me. So I can go down, fire the first shot, and kill these guys. If these guys are active and you've been shooting at the other ends, they can snipe you from a pretty frightening distance, and it's not cool. But look at that, taking care of business. It's a lot more threatening than it... You know, it's a lot of bark to this, but there's not as much bite as you'd think. It's relatively easy to figure out on the fly as well. I mean, the Cyber Demon's an issue because he just instantly splattered me. Instantly, the first time I did this. And I think it's where my first attempt at this map that actually got quite deep died. Because I just instantly got murdered. But... I don't know how you'd fix that. I think it's just a very cruel piece of teleporting. Because sometimes you're running away, he'll teleport directly in front of you. But hey, it's cool. We're laughing. Trying to get him infighting there. He doesn't want to. For some reason, he does not like infighting with the Hell Knights. There's no real need to, it's just I like to save the ammo. Again, like with the Revenants in the pillbox, it's hard for him to infight with them as well, so I always ended up just spamming rockets at them to get him out of the way. Otherwise, he just ineffectually stands against the wall shooting at nothing. It's very frustrating. But look at that, I mean, like any fight in this game, when fights have elements like that, there's always a way to defuse them. In the vast majority of cases, the map has had something in mind, and I think that's probably the intended solution there. Very tightly choreographed. This fight, on the other hand, first time I did this I did it with 100 health standing at the top, and then I realised you can cheese it. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to cheese this fight. As you can see, you've got the Archvils in little pillboxes there, and you've got Cyber Demon, you've got the Manx and stuff. And I just thought, you know what? For some reason it lets you leave. Why not leave? Because also, it spawns in a couple of Archvils. Sometimes one of the Archvils will move into the little box with his friend. I'm not sure what the intention was here, but sometimes they move into the little, enclosures with their friends. Or at least one of them does. This time they didn't, so I had two just roaming free. But, I'm going to stand down here, I've got the rockets. Just take them out. Saves me having to do a dance and getting threatened by instant death, 30 minutes into a map, 35 minutes into a map. I'm going to take the advantage if it's offered to me. Honestly, I would, if I were making this map, I would stop the player from doing this, but I would give a green armor or something at the top. Because this fight here, things can go horribly wrong down here. You can end up with no health at all. Just a little margin of error would be nice. But, that's just me. It's on UV, so maybe you want it to be really nasty. Maybe just block the player in. That's fine, I'm going to go back upstairs now. Another thing that can happen as well is somehow Pain Elementals, when you're spamming along here, there's Pain Elementals inside this central divide box. Sometimes you can wake them up somehow, and I don't know how. I think it has something to do with splash damage. But that's not cool. But as you can see, they're kind of awkward to kill, these guys in there, so... This is why I wanted to fight from the ground floor, basically. And then when that's done, it's just a matter of 3 shot on the Cyber Demon, or trying to. I think I fail here and do 3 shots because I get a bit nervous. Yeah, 3 shots, that's fine. I was too frightened to push in hard. Because he's on a raised platform, I was frightened that maybe I wouldn't get the requisite amount of traces into him. Maybe. Good fun though, good fun. This is a weird trap, I don't really get it. So like, you've got all the Pain Elementals there, yeah? And you think, okay, that's Pain Elemental time. Kill them with a BFG. If you walk over that ammo, you can see the little head bobbin vials having a good time. It wakes them up, and there's like a wall that's obviously blocking them if you go pick the ammo up or something. I don't know how it works, but if you don't, they just sit there. And there's no real desire for me to ever rush and pick that ammo up, so it never actually occurred to me that would be the case. But once I do, you can just... That's poorly handled by me. But alas, 3 shots instead of 2. You can see now we're entering the final major structure. I think this again is optional. Like, No, maybe it's not optional. I don't know. This might be optional. Correct me if I'm... I think it is. Because lots of ammo. I think that's the bonus of doing this. Lots of ammo and Megaspheres. But... Cyber Demons. That's all this encounter is. So, lure them to one side. Kill this Cyber Demon over here. One down. Well... This is where you'll see me fail to two-shot any of them. He can't make it through that gap. You need to walk around this side. Don't know if that's intentional. Unfortunately, the other Cyber Demon always has an angle on you when you're over here, which is really obnoxious. So I found it's best just to improvise, play it by ear, push him back a little bit. Just fucking up every single two-shot. Three shots and no success. You can see I'm somewhat out of practice from the old days, but yeah, that's fine, isn't it? This guy, definitely not a good idea to try and two-shot him because he's on a pillar. He's on a pillar and he's near stairs, and when you're near stairs it means that dodging is a little more awkward than normal, so I thought, screw it, it's better to be safe than sorry. I am more than happy to... I don't know what I'm doing here, thinking about ammo. More than happy to waste a bit of ammo at this part of the map, because as long as I can go into the final fight with around about 600 I'll be happy, and I usually will. There's a glut of ammo here. No two-shot on him. I don't know why there's no two-shot on him. I mean, it must have just been poor tracer work, maybe some block map stuff. A little disappointing though to fuck that up so badly so many times. But that's life. Next little section here. This sets you up for something really frightening and dangerous, but this is completely toothless, this encounter. I mean, completely toothless. And I think it's because the Spider Mastermind is too far away, so he doesn't really infight effectively. So, Spider Mastermind directly behind me on a platform. Over here, we have a lot of Pain Elementals. See how long it took for him to start targeting me. And then it spawns enemies on the bridge, but I mean, it doesn't spawn much. You could probably beef those numbers up a little bit, you know? Or not, I mean, because I've won, so please don't make it too much more difficult so I have to play it again. Prove it and record another cool demo. Actually, no, do. But, as you can see, it's not a big issue. I wasn't sure at this point if there was another Pain Elemental around. I was a bit nervous. But you could telefrag that guy there. I assume that would be the case given the way it's worked in the rest of the map. So right now I just wait and I think, is there going to be a Pain Elemental down there? Can I see one? No, it's fine. You don't have to kill all those guys because they can't follow you into the last encounter, which is good. So, going into the final encounter with 600 and nearly perfect health, which is exactly what I'm looking for, because this last encounter is relatively tricky, but it's really cool in its execution. So, red trim everywhere, lots and lots and lots of archviles in cages, a big green skull switch, and something to start the encounter, which wakes the archviles up. So, how do you survive? Well, the switch lowers the archviles for something like 8 seconds or something like that. I don't know, some sort of arbitrary length of time like that, and everything goes green around them to prove it's there. Things go red again, that means the archviles are about to pop back up. So, I've lowered them down, everything's gone green. Green light means it gives me some time to clear things up. So what I'm trying to do here is just clear some space for myself, really. Pressing the switch and continuing. Sometimes if you press the switch immediately when the light goes red, the lift wouldn't have risen back up yet and everything gets out of sync and you die. So it's best to wait until you can see an archvile, like that, and then press the button. Now the complication. The thing that stops you from spamming lots of cells immediately, and why I like to go quite a lot here, is you've got the horrible bully boy cyber demons. And that went quite well. That can go horribly wrong. But it's all about clearing one side. It's about, I thought the biggest threat vector in this fight was definitely just dealing with all of the revenants. You've got a couple of soul spheres on either side, which is nice, because I mean, you can get dinged badly. But it's fine. And then they teleport away to be brutally murdered somewhere. That's on a timer, as far as I can tell, so... Clean up now, and then the final fight. There's a bunch of cool zombie men to kill. Very satisfying. Oof, so satisfying. And that's it. That is Criticality by Scotty. A really fantastic map, really impressive. It's got a real cool ambience to it. Give it a go. If you're playing with Z Doom, put software lighting on or whatever it's called. It's in the GL rendering options or the lighting options. And I'm waiting here because it takes a while for all of the archfiles to be murdered. But there you go. Criticality. Lovely stuff. Give it a go. Get it on Doomworld. I'll put a description in the link in the description. That's words. So, have a good day. Bye.